Great to be with you again on Locked On Texas Tech on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day, always free and available on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts. And thanks as always for making us your first listen. Today's episode brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use our code Locked On College for $20 off your first purchase with the only Chris Level. I'm Casey Cowan. Chris, great to be back with you once again, diving into the mailbag. We seek questions from the Matador Mob. They never fail to deliver. It is overflowing once again in advance of a season kickoff coming up Saturday night from Jones Stadium, so I don't want to waste any time. We'll get to a couple of different things, of course, variety, the spice of life, and it's going to be a spicy episode. I want to ask you about potential rooting interest elsewhere in the great state. If you ever allow yourself to say, I'd like this non-Texas Tech team residing in the state of Texas to win a game. Playing with fire, but I'll put it to you. Also asking about the experience this offseason for Baron Morton compared to some he's gone through previously. We've used the term, I think, elective procedure, which has kind of put a different layer to it as far as understanding the thought going into it. So I'll get to that question coming up in just a moment. Also questions about what we're actually seeing, not only on the Jones Stadium turf this weekend, but elsewhere when it comes to an FBS versus FCS matchup. We got a mobster wanting to talk numbers, but let's kick it off, Chris. Between the lines and on the defensive side of the football that's obviously gotten so much attention. I want to get to this question here, beginning with essentially what could be, I guess, perceived somewhat to be kind of a give and take whenever you're really investing in one angle of a defense or another, whether it's a pass rush or whether it's maybe stopping the run, things like that. Travis, and I also had, let's see here, Brian was asking about rush defense. Travis put it like this: a lot of hype surrounding the defensive line and their ability to get to the quarterback, but any concerns that could come in the form of sacrificing anything run defense wise over the years? Do you think that defenses have to kind of go with one or another? Can you cover both bases? What do you make?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot has been made about the pressure you can create on the edge. I think that a fair question to ask aloud is, can those edge guys hold up in the run game? I mean, that's what they say about some of those elite pass rushers in the NFL. Like the best defense for him is you just run it right at him, because then you negate it. He's not, that's not his special, I mean, whatever. And some guys aren't necessarily like that, but I think David Bailey and Romello Height would tell you that that's something they're working on. I think they both think they're pretty good at it. They just happen to be really elite level pass rushers and edge guys around. I tend to think that you'll see a heavy dose of run game from like UAPB to start out. I think that in general, they'll try to shorten the game. They've got a kid by the name of BJ Curry at running back that I think that they really like, and they've got some depth behind him. And I think they'll, again, try to shorten the game and just kind of sit on it a little bit and all those things. But this will be tested. And, I mean, I expect that to be tested when you go to Salt Lake City when it gets very real. I think that the Oregon State will definitely test it. But you have 6'3", 320 sitting right there on the interior. Skylar Gill-Howard, because there's people over the summer that would tell you 285 is not supposed to move like this. Like he's one of the most athletically gifted guys on our team because of how quick he is, not just with his feet, but with his hands. And he's extremely athletic. And he's not the tallest guy, but I just think that, and then who's behind them filling in these gaps? Because if you have a question about like Ben Roberts, it may be in pass coverage. It's not in run. I mean, maybe out wide, but like Jacob Rodriguez is the Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, like, so it all sets up right there in the middle with a lot of what you've got, and you've got depth upon depth with your defensive tackles. So while I may be hearing the question on these edge guys have gotten so much hype, what's the meat? What's the middle of it look like? I really feel pretty good about that too. I think that's why we are talking about the 85 Bears here, people. Monsters of the Midway, right? I'm kidding.
You boys have got to stop saying that out loud. I'm so nervous.
I know. I'm just kidding.
We did kind of talk
no,
about this on a previous episode, right? Like, how do you, if you think an opposing defense is really coming after your quarterback, how do you counter it? And a lot of times it is just running right at it. So I think even if you feel good about those guys on the inside, it is a fair question to wonder about the dudes on the edge and how they can hold up against that kind of thing. So it sounds like maybe, and particularly if the weather does what it could be forecast to do, maybe we're going to see a big dose of this, like you're talking about on Saturday night.
with what I think I know about what you've put together on defense, again, without having seen a game, I like how would I go about getting after them, or what do I think may work? I mean, I would test all of these aspects, right? But I wonder if you've, this sounds good in theory, if you'll be able to use maybe some of this aggressiveness against them, some misdirection, some things like that. Maybe checking on how disciplined are they, what's their community, and so. Although I just don't know if you can major in that, because I think if you go wide and you do try to run it at these defensive ends and things like that, I think the team speed on this side of the ball is very prevalent, much more so than it's been. And so it'll be really interesting to see kind of what this looks like and what you're good at, what you need to work on, and all those things. And it'll be a challenge for us potentially to like come in on Sunday and Monday and all that and go, okay, what didn't look great for Texas Tech? What was less than stellar? I don't know. Maybe not much. Maybe there's a handful of things that are just staring you in the face. I don't know, but we'll see.
Equine grading scale needs to return if we're going to really talk about some critiques. I don't know. There's been an interesting offseason story to be told there as well. We cover all the bases on Locked On Texas Tech. Thank you for that question. This question here from Sonny, talking about the kind of matchup we're going to see in Lubbock and in some other spots to kick off the season, that being an FBS versus FCS, football bowl subdivision versus football championship subdivision. Sonny's asking about, Chris, what actually is on display here numbers wise? What's a gap like? Can you put a number to it? I mean, we see big gaps just within Power 5 or Power 5 versus Group of 5, but how about Power 4 versus FCS?
Yeah. So, and I think that we've obviously seen some of these gaps widen in some of the different levels. There's the top two leagues financially. There's the Power 4. There's some Group of 5, which I don't know is, there's some that are much better than others, but then there's the FCS. Okay, so there's different tiers that have been created, but the gaps financially are widening. I just to give you an idea, like, because some of these games, it's not UAPB football or UAPB athletics is not Texas Tech's problem. But large in part, that's how a lot of these programs, like not just football, but like athletically, they survive because of these paydays that they get. But like, just to give you an idea, we talked to a beat writer for UAPB. He's located in Arkansas, and it was just various conversations. But this was like startling to me, and I just want you to like think about this in these terms, because I was like, whoa, hadn't thought about it like that. They don't, like, because he was kind of going through, hey, here's kind of some of the shortfalls that they've got, and I guess that this writer had talked to some of the coaches, and it indicated, we're not even sending like a doctor. We have one trainer. That's it. That's what they're sending. And it's
probably a counselor for their mental health these days.
But he was just like, they because he was asking me about like all these positions listed on Texas Tech staff. He's like, Mr. Level, they're not. I think I was talking to one of the guys. Is like, they're not even really sending a doctor. They don't have this. They don't have that. And I was just like, wow. I mean, that's just kind of like an in your face, like, whoa, this is a big difference here.
They got any steak and salmon?
Yeah, probably not.
Chicken of the sea.
Yeah, that's right. So, yeah, he was just kind of like, now, do you really have how many developmental or like how many player personnel guys? I was like, yeah, no, these are all real positions. These are real people. Because he was just, we were looking at, going back and forth and all that. Anyway, that just struck me as like medically. So I wonder if Texas Tech will, in a lot of aspects, how much they will have to help UAPB with whatever. So anyway, it's just, but this is and again, I think these games are fewer going forward. There are some like FCS powerhouses though that are well funded, like these Dakotas,
Sure.
and then like some of those, but this is just one in
And you
this,
got to be a damn fool to sign up for a non-conference matchup when we're talking about that class.
not going to get a lot of credit for winning, but boy, they can jump up and bite you for sure.
That's right.
You,
Yeah,
you
I'm
see-
thinking maybe do we like lease them out on an hourly rate, backup trainer or something of ours, a student intern, graduate?
I
person?
really I don't know. I just, when he said that, I was like, well, no, wait a second. Now, what are you what are you saying? He's like, yeah, like they were kind of saying that they don't, they're not even sending a team doctor. I was like, I've never heard of that. I was like, is that normal? He's like, well, they've had to, and I don't think he wanted to say, yeah, we've had to cut back because you don't want to. Maybe I'm spilling the tea here, but this wasn't an off the record conversation. It was just like, anyway, it's just.
Yeah. Well, they got one to pass around the whole state. I think Doc Johnson or whatever his name is for the state of Arkansas. So it ain't the great state, Chris. We can't just apply our norms to expectations for them. All right. Thank you for that question. Bob asking this question, back to the defense. Anything about Shill Wood that you would say you feel like he brings to the table that's different or added compared to Tim DeRuyter? Anything stand out?
I think his, so Tim was very cerebral. The scheme was very, and don't misunderstand, it was very tested. It is very proven, but there was a lot going on there. And I think that Shield has been more about.
First, today's episode brought to you by Gametime. Have you ever decided at the last minute to head to a ball game with friends or family? Maybe it's game day and you suddenly feel the call of the stadium. That's exactly where Gametime comes in. It's the easiest way to grab last minute tickets without the stress. And with the money you save on tickets, you can then splurge on foods, drinks, gear, and more. Gametime makes it all possible. And best of all, Gametime makes buying tickets fast and simple. Prices on the app actually drop the closer you get the first pitch, and they've got incredible last-minute deals, clear seat views, and a lowest price guarantee that takes the worry out of buying. And if you're like me, you get tired of endless scrolling trying to find the best deal, and that's why Gametime's Zone Deals is the go-to move, since it automatically picks the best seats in your section for you at the best price. And as always, you can get a view from your seat right there in the app. So before you buy, you know exactly what you're going to see. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use our code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and use our code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE, Locked on College, for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets at the lowest price, guaranteed.
I think that Shield has been more about how it gets done. It's not about what we're doing, it's how we do it. And I think he's much younger coach. Obviously, I think that is very energetic. And I think it's about, because this sounds like, you hear coaches a lot, especially on defense, like, get lined up correctly. Well, it seems like the most obvious thing ever. You played football. If you have somebody misaligned, and then like there's what they term leverage and all these things, that's a bust before you even get going. It's like, okay, if I throw over there, he can't catch up. Like they've screwed up.
Yeah, you're already behind before it begins.
Yeah, and I think he's really just hammered on effort and energy and play hard and not trying to like kill anybody with complexities and all these things. And I think this is, and we'll see what it looks like in practice, but I think the guys all really like him too. I know AJ Holmes has said he's been able to help guys with the scheme and all these things. But it's kind of a different deal. But part of that is it's dictated by the personnel.
Yeah, sure. AJ Holmes sounds like one of those guys that is going to be a lot more noticeable. Maybe I hope, say 6 to 8 weeks from now, than maybe he is for most fans right now. He's kind of flying under the radar, I feel like. But
this is a Big 12 starter, people,
for a defense better than yours, right?
Yep.
A year ago. So
and
I know there's so much
a lot.
attention. Do what?
He will play a lot.
Yeah.
But
I think he'll become that name will become a lot more well-known maybe in, I hope, short amount of time, because I don't mean he's doing some really good things. But, yeah, be on the lookout for him up front defensively. Cody asking about the QB and this procedure gone through this offseason. Can you say anything about what was different about the lead up to this and the procedure itself, if you have a feel for it? Because I think we did describe it as elective. So when it comes to the decision to go this route, do you know about the lead up to that, or maybe what went into it?
Of deciding
why this was either the time or to actually do it? Because am I wrong? It was an elective thing, right? Is that
yeah.
Describe it?
He was cleared medically. Barron could have theoretically played this year without having, but here was and I'm not some doctor or surgeon or anything, but as I understand it, if he weren't to go in and repair, some of the issues that he had, or the issue that he had, there were some limitations with how he could train, like can't really do certain things in the weight room. Can't, like maybe range of motion, which I think there was some concern there when he had it done, is like, okay, is he going to get it back, or is it going to lessen it even more? I mean, there's kind of an unknown there. I think you can get all the opinion and hear from the expert, and the hope is that, but it just seems like those were some of the reasons and the issues. And
yeah.
I think he felt like, okay, I don't feel like I'm as much of part of the team, because I can't do the off season with them. I can be there, but I can't do all the stuff. I don't feel 100%, or something's just kind of off. I don't feel right. And so I think he just wanted to give himself the best opportunity to have a good senior year. And so, again, kind of a gamble on all parties, Barron included. And you remember we sat here and talked in the spring, there's no guarantees with this, and we were kind of holding our breath, okay, I hope he comes back, but it really hasn't even been a storyline. It's like he came back maybe sooner than we would have thought. He kind of picked up, and he's looked extremely sharp. I think there's a gap between he and Will Hammond. This is his job. And I think that he's lost a little bit of weight, in a good way, to make himself a bit quicker and all those things. I think that everybody unanimously is like, that zip is back. He throws a catchable ball. I mean, because the new guys don't know any different. And
yeah,
but the old guys are like, oh yeah, this is different than last year a little bit. And so anyway, it seems like this has all been, thumbs up. So,
yeah.
But that was kind of the reasoning why. And I think that this has led to him having some confidence, or more confidence, because he feels good. He's able to do all the things. He can get in the weight room and everything. And so I think that he just feels like a part of it. So I think all of that leads to where we are now.
All right. Thank you for that question. We had Jay and also Ernie asking about some rooting interests outside of the Texas Tech universe. Jay was asking about teams from the Big 12 or any conference you're rooting for or against this weekend. Ernie was asking about whether or not you allow yourself to root for other teams in the state of Texas that are not the Red Raiders. Any thoughts on either front? Interested in games this weekend?
Obviously one coming up tonight is Baylor and Auburn. The Big 12 stands to gain a lot of street cred with a win there. And yet I think some some criticism with a loss. This is like some people's Big 12 title pick. This is the up and comer. They're at home. This is a middling SEC team that may be pretty good or may not be very good, but it's just like, see, this is the differences in these leagues. And I struggle at times, if I'm being honest with, because I'm sorry.
I know what you're going to say.
I'm sorry, man. I cannot sit there and root for Baylor. I cannot do it.
You're struggling with your conference pride, Chris.
And I won't. And I won't. And I know that in a way it affects Texas Tech. It maybe helps the situation and makes the league look better and maybe gives you a better chance for an at-large and all the things. I just can't do it. I'm sorry. I don't know. I can't do it. And I'll just fast forward to Monday night. Chapel Bill.
That's right.
And the whole deal, right? And it's an ACC and
I hadn't heard that yet.
deal.
I like that.
I can't do it. I just can't do it. And I'll realize that if those Big 12 teams win, the league gets credit. There'll be a lot of chatter for those two teams, and they will have deserved it. As I'm sitting there watching, I can't. I'm sorry. And I would like to think that people in Waco and people in Fort Worth or from parts unknown that went to those schools or are fans of those schools, they're not sitting there rooting for the tortillas to fly in Lubbock, Texas. They and that's the fun part about this, right? To me, it is, yes. So no, I'm not rooting for those teams. I realize what I'm supposed to say, but yeah. Anyway,
I appreciate it, and that is definitely more so what I identify with. I hope the Longhorns lose by 100 in Columbus. I hope the Aggies lose against whoever they got, UTEP, UTSA, something. And I hope that Baylor loses. I hope the Horned Frogs lose. I hope that Southern Methodist loses to East whoever, whatever. That's just the way I roll. It's Texas Tech versus everybody. Conference pride, not on my radar. Some of you feel differently, and I understand. And Chris, I think you did describe very well what the appeal is in rooting for some of them as far as conference impact or resumes are concerned. But I guess we'll deal with that when we get there. But as we're in the moment now.
And I guess the thing is, it doesn't matter who we root for. The result's going to be the result. But
I like some Schadenfreude. I like to enjoy others' misery, the misery of my enemies.
Sure. Yeah, as I'm consuming the game or whatever, I'm like, oh God dang, they're But yeah, you take it as it comes. If they win, it's like, hey man, Big 12 had a good weekend. If they lose, it's like, oh man, well they sucked. I mean, what do you want me to do, man? I'm like, I'm trying to be transparent and try to keep it 100 as the
1 week to kick off a season. The most adventurous week sometimes, not really knowing just quite what you're going to get.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for that question. Let's see here, David, and we've also got JD asking about the numbers game for Saturday, 52.5. First, today's episode brought to you by Upside. Red Raider fans, are you still paying full price for gas? Stop leaving money behind and get real cash back every time you fill up with the free Upside app. Just download the free Upside app in the App Store or Google Play Store right now and start earning cash at the pump today. And you can use our limited time promo code FOOTBALL and get an extra 25 cents back per gallon on your first fill up. You can make up to $300 a year just from buying the gas you already needed. You might think it's too good to be true, but it's totally legit. Real people are getting paid just to make their daily commutes, and you can too. Plus, you can cash out anytime to your bank account, PayPal, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. So don't let this hour drive on by. Download the free Upside app now and use our limited time promo code FOOTBALL for a limited time 20-cent per gallon bonus. That's our promo code FOOTBALL for a limited time 25-cent per gallon bonus. Offers vary by user and location. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions. 52.5 in favor of Texas Tech at last report on FanDuel. Chris, are you liking the Red Raiders minus 52.5?
I don't know what the conditions will be. I think that could affect this thing. Heck, theoretically, if it's worst case scenario, I mean, is the entire game played? I mean, I don't know. I would certainly hope
True.
so.
Yeah, good question.
But I think this has a chance to be. Nobody's going to say this internally. I think they're trying to treat this very seriously. They feel this pressure to perform and all the things. I think at some point in this game, you'll be able to kind of name your score. Like, do we want to do this, or do we want to do that? I mean, so yeah, I would offer that up. But
all right.
So if the conditions are mild or accommodating in some ways, I'd say that you're probably okay with Arkansas beat these guys 70-0, man. I mean, 70-0, and I don't think they're as good. And 10 times they touched the ball, 10 touchdowns.
Yeah, but that's an in-state rivalry for the Hogs too, so they really wanted to take it out on UAPB. I hope we have that same type of inflamed fashion. All right, this question here from Nick. With the increasing resources invested in the program, will the going band from Raiderland travel more often? Is anything trickling down to the Horns?
Yeah, I think they will do. Aren't they in line for is it like 1 or 2 road games?
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
what the typical routine is.
The problem is that this is a bit tricky because I could see maybe a Houston game, because typically it's like Metroplex or like your Oklahoma State or some of that scenario. But I mean, I'd love them in Tempe. I'd love them in Manhattan. I'd love them in Salt Lake. But those are not exactly easy trips, or whatever. That's not drivable and all those things. So I need to ask about that. That's a good question. But I do think they typically make a roadie. Maybe
it seems limited though. Definitely like just a couple.
Yeah,
like that.
Yeah, I mean, but like a Big 12 title game, yes. Any sort of postseason, yes. But I do think though that they always make one road game. But maybe that's going to be Houston. I don't know. We'll see.
All right. Thank you for that question. This one here from Trent, who asks if you think we could see an abundance of running back usage week 1, maybe even more than normal, just to get work in with these guys after the Quentin Joyner injury changed the situation.
Maybe that depends on scenarios. I don't think that I would rule out a lot of carries by Adam Hill or Michael Henderson. I don't think that would necessarily be intentional as much as it would be, let's just get to the end here. As opposed to, we really need to get these guys and give them some mix and some work. That may be more of like, man, it's been decided. Let's just, let these guys get some work, but let's just try to get to the end here. I just don't know. You never know how games are going to go. We never thought last year was going to go into overtime and all that. And I've said, I think ACU and UAPB are vastly different things. I think even ACU compared to Kent State are very different things. But there should be an opportunity to really get a lot of players. And that's the one, while we have sat here and kind of said, man, this is going to be a weird game and kind of tricky and all that's the one thing that coaches will like. They can put a lot of guys out there and evaluate and keep everybody happy and engaged and all the things, and let them sink, swim, all the things with the depth, and really at a variety of different spots.
All right, thank you for that question. This one from Bobby, who says it's a little eye-opening how many quarterbacks and offensive linemen were on the injury report. Should we be concerned?
No. There's nothing there alarming. Quentin Joyner's name being on there is the most alarming thing by far. Holton Hendricks, I think, would have had a chance to definitely play in this game. Will Jados was listed as questionable. I would be willing to bet you he plays. But yeah, you're not in the let's just see what it looks like in 2 or 3 weeks. That's when you can start to either feel good or pucker up or whatever. But this is not. Don't be concerned.
Luke is asking, David Bailey, Romello Height combined for 5 sacks Saturday, or Baron Morton throws 5 touchdown passes. Which would you rather see?
Probably the 5 touchdown passes. I really don't know if they're going to drop back enough to. I'll be interested to see how much they really drop back in true passing situations. You may just not have near as many opportunities to rush the passer as you'd like to think. And I'm just going to say this to you. Like, when you start talking about guys that are going to tally some sacks, we talked about him a bit ago, but like Skylar Gill Howard is going to be one of those interior guys that gets to the quarterback more than people are going to realize too. It's not always just coming off the edge. He's one of those very sneaky, good defensive tackle pass rushers, which is why I think analytically he just checked every box that you're looking for, because this has become more in vogue. If you can find a guy on the interior that can also rush the quarterback, I mean, then it's like, whoa, you're really, so. But I may say he has the most sacks in game 1.
Okay,
how about that?
Yeah,
or TFLs. Give me a little leeway there, but I'd be willing to bet you that he maybe has the most plays on the stat sheet that show up, whether it's a sack or a TFL.
All right, thank you for that question. Bill says his favorite offensive football play, the shuffle pass. He'd love to see Jacoby take a few from Barron. Chris, do you have a favorite offensive play?
The touchdown play. Absolutely.
Correct.
I like when that's called.
Correct. I like the 3rd and 11 draw, personally.
Well, have we talked about that, the Tommy Tuberville era with those plays?
We tried to avoid it.
I know. I because you remember this. I mean, there was your offensive coordinator was Neil Brown at the time. Tommy Maynard was on that staff. Carlos, his son, was coaching receivers. Cumby was on that side of the ball. And remember, like, in that time when Tuberville like yanked the headset off of your one of your graduate assistants one time, because he's like made the wrong special teams call. It was always a circus down there. But like, 3rd and 20, and you get a draw, and then boo, what are you doing? And Neil would just, and I think to this day there's a negative connotation with Neil Brown here. That was 1,001% Tommy Tuberville. Run it, run the ball. I mean, he just couldn't. He was the opposite of analytics. Like, he was the opposite of analytics. It was Tommy Tuberville as a coach. And again, that era was, that's the era he came from, where,
sure,
be conservative, like put your defense out there, all that stuff. But yeah, 3rd and 20, just run it. We're not doing anything. Yeah, run it, run that draw. But yeah, that was always my man Tubbs. Okay, what was the question? I forgot. I screwed up. What was the
I don't know. Was there a question?
I thought we were. That led me to.
I may have already deleted it from the list, to be honest with you.
Okay, I've yeah.
I don't even know if we'd gotten to the next question or not. Greg has this question: how's Colorado allowed to smoke weed in the stadium? We can't even throw soft flour tortillas.
Yeah, interesting. They do a lot of things in Colorado, man, and some of it's embraced. Others are just like kind of it's secretly embraced without being public about it. But yeah, I've seen some of that talk recently as well. But yeah, I mean, God, everybody's so anti-tortilla when we're letting things that aren't supposed to even be legal going on and everything. So yeah, they're interesting traditions in our lovely was it flyover or truck stop conference that we got going on here.
All right, this question from Mike: how do you perform the fight song? You will hit them, you will wreck them, hit them, wreck them, Texas Tech, or you will hit them, you will wreck them, you will fight and kick their expletive deleted. End quote.
I always have done the first one, but I have heard the student section kind of get loud and spirited with the
very spirited.
the alter ego of the fight song there. I mean, hey man, as long as you're singing one of them, I have no problem with it. So yeah, get after it. Yeah,
everybody can make their own choice.
sure.
I'm going to say neither because I thought it was we will hit them. I thought we were doing this together, the hitting and the wrecking, but he's saying you. So
Okay.
way to go, Mike. You're just putting it on the rest of us, I guess. What are you doing during the game? All right. This question here from Brent. Which position group you think could surprise fans the most this season? There's some we've talked about over and over and over. Is there another anywhere that you think may surprise Tech fans?
I'm going to give you two answers here and let you kind of, as I think about it. I think your secondary could be one because I think people are still kind of curious. The defensive line has gotten so much. I think your secondary could end up being really good here, and whether that's because of the defensive line or just because they're good in their own right or a combination of both. What if your specialists are pretty good and they're like, whoa, didn't see this coming?
That'd be a great surprise.
Yeah, I don't. But how else? I mean, can your receivers be a surprise? Can your quarterback be a surprise? Can your defensive line be a surprise? No. Only in a negative way. Your linebackers, no. But I think the jury is still out on a lot of this stuff. But I think the way we have talked about it, secondary and your kicking game, if you will, I think could be be a positive surprise, which is the way I'm taking that question for you.
All right, thank you for that question. Roderick asks, who is loving watching Shuck be absolute ass on the Saints? Because I am.
I appreciated so this may be unpopular, but I appreciated Tyler's competitiveness. He can be a real Richard at times, but I think that's what makes him good. That motivates him. I think I kind of, in a weird way, I kind of liked the way he kind of operated here, where he was kind of like spicy about it. That's the way BJ Simmons was. And again, you brought him in here to fix a lot of this, and then you
dare. And don't you dare bring BJ into a comparison to Tyler Shuck. Frosted tip, one on his head, number one. BJ, the king of the frosted tip kingdom. But and my favorite of the Mike Lee share. You've triggered me now.
But this is how they were both at times like had irrational confidence, which is what made them so good.
Wait a second, Shuck wasn't even good. First off, so I wouldn't grade him as good. And Roger didn't say something nice about Tyler Shuck, Chris. I feel like you misheard me.
I thought he was better than everybody gave him credit for. I think some of that was not all his fault, but
I think he was less than people gave him credit for, because we always heard about the film room and all this stuff. I remember one time there was a very drunk Tech fan behind me in the stands whenever Shuck was doing something bad, and he's like, "He's as old as Brock Purdy." He's just yelling, "He's as old as Brock Purdy," and Purdy was like in year 2 in the NFL. And I thought, wow, he's inebriated, but making actually a great point, and one I really hadn't considered.
He's like 25 years old. Now, did I like it when he says something bad about Lubbock a year ago? I mean, but that's just who he is. But keep in mind here, you ran him out of here. I mean, you shuffled him out and showed him the door, and he didn't necessarily. You picked Barron over him. You did the same thing that Oklahoma did with Dylan Gabriel. Hey, Dylan, go be a playoff quarterback for Oregon. We're going to keep Jackson Arnold, and then Jackson Arnold now at Auburn. You did the same thing that Kansas State did with Avery Johnson and said, "Hey, Will Howard, go win a natty. We got our young guy. Win-win for everybody."
These comparisons, I'm not.
Yeah, this is what you did.
But you're talking about guys that were good. Like Will Howard.
I mean, and Louis, keep in mind, Louisville had a really good year last year with Tyler Shuck under center. But I just that was my personal experience. That was my personal experience. I talked to him recently. It's been several months ago, but I mean, he's still. He's just spicy, and I kind of like it because I always like that in my quarterback. I don't want some choir boy playing quarterback for me, and there's a lot of those out there that don't ever say anything.
That's true.
So yeah, I mean,
yeah. Thank you for that question, sort of, Roderick. This question here from it seemed like more of a statement from Roderick than a question, I guess. This one here from Lewis, just a couple more we'll get to. He's asking about the news from Big Ten country this week regarding future expansion, and also when the time comes, who actually makes the decision on what schools to add, as in voting power? Is it schools, conference commissioners, TV partners, or what does that actually look like? But to hear the answer to that one, you're going to need to be a Matador Mob insider. So hit the show notes and find a link to a free 14-day trial. For those on the outside, this is where we're going to leave you. Make sure you're subscribed on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts so you never miss a thing, and become a Matador Monster today for less than a cup of coffee a month, so you can get the full Mailbag experience next week. Chris, on to the OT, my man. Appreciate your regulation time this week, and onward.
Bang, bang. Guns up, people. See you at the stadium on Saturday night. Bring a poncho. Don't. Please be there. Embrace it. Enjoy it. And we're in it now, man. So let's go.
That's right. Have a great weekend, everybody. Hope it's a great Saturday at the Jones, however you're choosing to spend it, galoshed or otherwise. Thanks for the time, as always, and we hope to see you back for the next round on Locked On Texas Tech.